Tired of paying too much and not getting the quality you deserve? Do your models look sad and cry out for colour? Then look no further, because here at Outback Mini Models we use and recommend SMS paints, tools and accessories for the modeler by the modeler. Click the link below to order online or find a stockist near you. SMS, the Scale Modeler Supply, Australia's #1 scale model paint.
Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to make your own washes using SMS Pigments. Okay, so some of you out there, and I know a lot of you do, use enamel washes or you use the clay-based washes that come out of the UK. But lately I've started going back to something that I really enjoyed using probably about 4 years ago and back, and I've kind of stopped using it just because of the flood of the market of all these new enamel products that have coming out. I mean, you've got your acrylic washes, but you know with acrylic washes you don't get a lot of working time with it, and then once it dries you're kind of in trouble. Enamel washes, they have their pros, they have their cons. Their cons are they can be quite pricey, okay, and also the drying time with the enamel washes, and also just the smell and the effects, the negative effects that they can have on your underlaying paint job. But using the wash that I'm about to show you today has no negative effects, besides if you apply this to a matte surface it's going to stick, it's going to be a little bit hard to remove, just like an enamel wash. But if you're using it on I recommend a semi-gloss coat for this technique or for this type of wash, just because it will give you a bit of bite, and you can still blend, and you can still use your panel line washes and shadings and all that kind of great stuff that you can do with this technique. So we're going to use the SMS Earth pigment. You can use any of the colors in their range. If you want to adjust the tones, the pigment's too dark or it's too light, you can change all that by adding other colors in the pigments and things like that. So don't worry about if you're worried about a certain shade or a color of pigment. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So we're going to use SMS Earth pigment. We're also going to be using some plain old cheap dishwashing liquid. Okay, I've had this for about 4 years now. It still sits on my bench, so it still comes in handy. And most important of all is water, just plain old water. Some people will tell you till their lungs are dry that you need to have distilled water. For what reasons, I don't know why, but I've always used plain old tap water, and it comes out of your tap, costs you nothing, and it's just there. Okay, so, and I'm just get a tool, something that you can pick the pigment out, whether you use a toothbrush, not a toothbrush, a toothpick, not a toothpick, or in this case we're using a Tamiya paint tool. You use a paintbrush, whatever. But like I said, just for this video, we're using that. And first of all, and we're going to use I'm just going to explain, we're just going to quick apply some of this wash down in the C4 charge bays on this it's M1 Breacher by Ryefields. You're not really going to see it when I put the crates back on, like the big steel crates, big containers that hold the C4 chargers that drop in here. But for my own peace of mind, I just want to know that it is painted in there, and I've painted everything possible on this model. So I'm going to put this back to the side here, and here's some washes I made like last couple of days, but these are all using other brands of pigment, okay? But just to show you that SMS does work, and it's, you're going to love using this technique if you only have SMS pigments in your collection, or you've just started using pigments and this is all you got. So a bit of water, okay, that's going to be a wash. So like, that's just water, and going to get, all you're going to need is 1 drop, or just basically get it so it sits on the tip of your brush. In this case we're using a size 3 SMS brush just to mix it all in. And depending on your application, we're using panel liners. You use it as a panel line wash, you can use it as a shade, or just a general mud, like a heavy technique. I mean, you can, the more pigment you add, the thicker the mix is going to be. But because we're only making a light, thin wash, We're only using a little bit, and cleanup is as easy as using water. Okay, so you don't need any enamel cleaners. Don't use enamel cleaners. Don't use airbrush cleaners or anything. Just use water. Okay, so just water from your paint where you clean your brushes out, that bit of water, or if you're that anal about it, just get some clean water in another container beside you. Okay, so, and just test it. Okay, so that seems to be okay, and I'm just going to add a little bit more water. Alright, so just check it if your container's got any nooks and crannies on it like this one does. Now you just test it. Okay, so it's hanging in there well, it's not too thick and it's not too translucent. And most of all, before I forget, is to put the lid back on the pigment before I knock it all over the bench, because these are big containers. Spill it, you can have a lot of pigment on your bench. Alright, so I'm going to get our model here, and this is the pigment right in the middle here. Okay, so you can see we're just gonna, and you can be really liberal with this stuff. It's not like enamel washes where you've got to be careful. Okay, so you can be generous. Alright, so all you're doing here is adding the wash inside here, and if you really want to replicate the dirt and dust, you can just sort of put a bit more on top here. Just move this out of the way for a second so I've got a bit more working room and there's more light for you guys to see it. And if you do have other brands of pigments in the, like I have here, they're 100% compatible, so you're not going to hurt the finish. So you can just keep going. Alright. And if you want to change it up, like you can normally add black. This is a SMS, I think it's this one here, sorry, apologise. This is an SMS wash here as well. It's mixed with their soot, so it's the earth and the soot mixed in here. Just made that one ahead of time, and you can just sort of add it in there, blend it. I mean, this is great if you're a Gundam builder. It's because you know how delicate Bandai plastics are and how annoying it is when parts break because you've used enamels on there. So just using water and detergent and just the pigment itself is a very safe way to weather your Gundam models. And then just also keep in mind too, if you see any bubbles in your wash because of the detergent, just try and pop them out, because when it dries, it'll dry, you'll see the bubble there and it can be quite annoying. But if you do miss a couple, or they're just very being very stubborn and they're not wanting to burst, let it dry, don't stress, because you can just clean it up with a damp or lightly moistened paintbrush or a Q-tip, depending on how you've applied this wash to what surfaces. Okay, so alright, so you can go even down here, and also just every now and then give get your paintbrush and give it a stir, just to suspend the mediums, or they're not the mediums, the pigments in the water. So if you've ever been thinking that you're just new to washes, like using washes, and you're not very comfortable about using them, just in case you're going to make a mistake or something like that and you're going to ruin your model, this is a very safe, it's almost like idiot proof really. Like it's you mess up, you just get some water and you clean it off, and then just if you want to seal it later on with some matte, a thin coat of matte clear or something like that, you can. And also you use pigment, you can use pigment fixes, but some of those are enamel based as well. Alright, so just give it a mix, you can sort of just give it a spin, mix them all up at the same time. Alright, so we're just going to let this dry, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you what it looks like and how to clean it off. And I just want to add before we come back from the break, if you end up leaving this overnight and it dries out, like the water just disappears and it just turns into pigment again, and it's just as simple of adding some more water and just reactivating this stuff. Remember, it's just pigment, okay? So it's not going to dry on you. It's not going to go hard. See, that's all right. So just keep that in mind too. All right, so it's only taken a few minutes to dry. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to take off this cupola on the front here so I don't break it. Okay, so just during the break as well, I just added some more wash in here, and you can see how heavy it is. How heavy it is here, just to show you that if you do, if you're new and you're not very confident about applying washes and stuff, you can literally just slap this on, like just with a decent size, like a pretty fat brush. We're using the size 3 SMS in the first half. So we're going to get a paintbrush a similar size, slightly bigger, just for cleanup. And it's just it's one of my cleaning brushes that I use. All right, so what we're going to do is dip our brush in the water. All right, just give it a bit of a tap, so we don't want a flooded brush. Just going to take off some of the excess like that. And all we're going to do, as you can see, all right, if I zoom, I'm just going to zoom in for you so you can see what I'm doing, and hopefully it stays in shot. All right, so we're just going to get our brush and try and get some more light down here too, because it's pretty dark. All right, so all we're going to do is we're going to get our brush and carefully just blend it out. Because all we want to do is just sort of leave it in the corners and just removing the excess. So, and it just comes off. Like I said, as long as you've got on you've treated the surface, it's not a dead flat surface. Cleanup will be quite easy, and it also leaves a beautiful, beautiful shadow behind. And use any color too, any wash as well. Like I said earlier on the video, it's you're not just stuck to brown. If you got green powders, you got grey powders, black, mix black and brown together, you get like a really nice dark dirty look. You could also add like a touch of green to it, and that gives you like your traditional Starship filth, like a real grimy color. Just in the centers, we're just going to take out the excess that's in the centers here. And just keep working away until you're happy with the result. And if you take away too much as well, you can just add a bit more in there. Repeat the process, let it dry. But believe me, you're going to thank me for this if you've never used this technique before, especially when you're working on delicate subjects with a lot of glue, like parts glued together. Because you'll find, if you found in the past, that enamel washes do sort of break down glue, and parts go brittle and they fall apart. So using water, you've really got no worries at all. So you just, oops. So I've just started cleaning this off without having it in shot. Do apologise. But yeah, you just but that's pretty much it, guys. And then just obviously keep going until you're happy with the effects. If it's not the effect you're after, just get your brush and then, you know, scrub it all off with water. It comes off really easy, so you'll come back to a blank canvas again before you put the wash on, and start again. If you need to change the color up, add more pigment to your wash, make a whole new wash altogether. Adjust it. If it's too dark, add some lighter powders to it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. I'm just going to keep going, and I'll leave it there with you, and I'll post some photos up underneath this video of what it looks like finished. So thanks for watching. I'm just showing you how to make a simple, safe and easy to use wash using SMS Pigments. Thanks, Scotty, as always, from SMS, and have a great weekend, guys, and I'll see you in the next video or the next post. Catch up. Bye.